Hi, my name is Shauna Longo, and I am the General Music Teacher and Arts Integration Specialist at Durban Avenue School in the Hopatcong Borough Schools. Today, I'm here to talk to you about social and emotional learning through the arts. So let's get started. Our objectives for this session today are that teachers and administrators will be able to understand how and why the arts can be leveraged and integrated with an SEL initiative. Find natural connections between and among all art forms, visual art, music, dance, theater, and media arts, and the 5 SEL competencies of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. We will also learn various arts teaching strategies and processes that can be integrated with any content area to foster social and emotional learning. So why SEL? What is SEL? SEL is the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. So what is SEL in a school setting? Well, it's an educational process through which skills for life effectiveness are intentionally taught and modeled in a safe, supportive, and culturally responsive environment. And when we talk about SEL implementation, there's kind of a three-tiered prevention model. And this talks about that 5% are indicated prevention. And these are your students that have intense needs and require individualized intervention through this SEL program that would probably be done by counselors, school psychologists, people of that nature. 15% is your targeted prevention. These are students that exhibit some indication of risk and are targeted for more intensive interventions. And then you've got 80%. 80% is the universal prevention. These are high-functioning students. They show little signs of learning or social behavioral difficulties. But the whole part of and point to an SEL initiative is that you are reaching all students, 100% of students, regardless of where they are in this three-tiered triangle. So what is social, emotional, artistic learning? So when we can combine arts integration with social and emotional learning, you're going to get social, emotional, artistic learning. And it doesn't always have to be arts integration, but that is a great strategy, teaching strategy, in order to help facilitate your social and emotional learning initiative in your school. So what is social, emotional, artistic learning? It is that makes natural connections between and among all art forms, visual art, music, dance, theater, media arts, and CASEL's social emotional learning competencies. So you're combining the processes learned within those art forms with CASEL's 5 competencies. So Maslow put out his hierarchy of needs, which is a theory to explain what motivates individuals to achieve. And if we aren't meeting at the bottom of that triangle, our students' basic physiological needs, air, water, food, the basic necessities of life, we really can't try to dig in and meet the needs on the higher end of self-actualization, where they want to actually become the best that they can be, because they don't have those basic needs being met. So we have that physiological, then it's safety. Do they have personal security, employment? Well, I mean, they're not employed, but, do they feel safe at home, in school? Are they healthy? Do they have resources to be able to succeed? And then love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, a family, a sense of connection at home to the school. Then it moves into esteem, respect for themselves, respect for others, self-esteem, recognition, strength, freedom. Then you can get to that self-actualization level where they actually want to be the best person they can be. So we've got to think about meeting those bottom of the triangle needs and work our way up before we can get to that top tier. And social emotional learning strategies can help to do that. So what are the 5 competencies that CASEL put out? We've got self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. So let's start by breaking those down. How do each of these 5 competencies directly connect with the arts? Let's talk about that and what each of the competencies can help do through the arts? So, self-awareness, we define that as identifying emotions, self-perception, identity, recognizing strengths, a sense of self-confidence by the student, self-efficacy. So, when we are doing that through the arts, we're teaching students about art skills and how to apply them in their lives. We're promoting growth through the creative process where you're developing and refining your work, whether it's a piece of music, it's a performance, it's a piece of art that you're drawing, or you're acting out something, or you're using movement to portray something. It assists students in identifying and processing their emotions, which is so important within any classroom and SEL initiative. And it's going to require students to accurately assess their strengths and limitations with a sense of confidence, optimism, and a growth mindset. And that's what the arts can bring to that self-awareness. So what questions do artists ask themselves that surround self-awareness? They might say, what do I need to do next? Is this coming out the way I planned? Is that okay? What do I need to change? Is this how I want this to look, sound, or feel? How much more should I do? What is influencing my choices? Why is this work important or unimportant to me? How does this work help me to understand myself better? And these are all questions that an artist in any art form is going to ask themselves. And they're great reflective questions that you could use with students when they're doing projects, even if whether it's through the arts or not through the arts, to kind of promote self-awareness within themselves. So self-awareness is also going to help establish a community that encourages growth mindset, create a safe space to make mistakes, put weaknesses on display in a positive manner, and to learn from them. And that all happens through the arts. It's also going to provide opportunities for students to celebrate their own success and reflect on areas of improvement of how they can make themselves or their work better, which is going to give them a deeper connection to the work they're doing in our classrooms, as well as get them invested in their education and their learning. And you might want to encourage students to keep a journal for the purpose of their own social emotional development and how that relates to what they're learning in your class. So let's move to the second competency of self-management. So this is defined as impulse control, stress management, self-discipline, self-motivation, perseverance, goal setting, organizational skills. These all fall under that self-management category. And through artistic learning, that social emotional lens, that is practiced when we listen to music to help regulate our emotions, when artists exhibit self-discipline in their practice to increase their precision at their art. Artists need to find motivation within themselves and set personal goals. It's a goal-based process creating any artwork or piece of art in any of the art forms. Need for organization and time management, stress management, regulating those emotions, thoughts, behaviors through the performance and presentation or creation of art. And students are invested in the outcome when they perform art together. That is reflected in their work, in their efforts, in their strengths. So artists ask themselves many questions surrounding self-management. How far have I come? How far do I need to go? What do I need to work on next? What can I practice and for how long? What is the purpose of this work? What do I want to accomplish or understand? And what limitations or roadblocks might I face while creating or performing this piece of work? So the next competency we're going to talk about through an artistic lens is social awareness. And social awareness is perspective taking, empathy, appreciating diversity and respecting others, and students being able to work together within the classroom and the environment. And this is used through an artistic lens when students interact with others in drama and dance-inspired activities all the time. The artistic process is innately individualistic and also naturally collaborative, where students can individually be working, but then also simultaneously be working as part of a group. The arts give us an opportunity to work and interact with others, to see new perspectives that support and challenge our own, and find commonalities and appreciate differences. And that can be done in so many ways, whether it's through critiquing or analyzing a piece of art, visual art, a piece of music, a dance, a piece of theater work, whatever case it might be. You can be talking about cultural competencies and being culturally responsive with what's included in that piece of art. And students, the arts put students in the places of other people in other times and cultures to increase their understanding of the artist's intent. What was the idea behind that work? What was the inspiration? What was going on in that time period, in that place? What was happening? And so these are all things that can really raise your students' social awareness and be able to build the skills they need to succeed in life with that competency. So what do artists ask themselves that falls under that social awareness competency? How do others experience the arts? What do I think about another person's work? How do I interpret this? How does that compare to the artist's purpose? How do others interpret my creation? How is art used to communicate to others? And what cultural, ethical, or social influences are present in this work of art? And by work of art, again, any of the 5 areas of the arts are used kind of within that term. So the next competency is relationship skills. And this is all about communication, social engagement, building relationships, working collaboratively, resolving conflicts, and helping and seeking help, knowing when to help others and when you need help yourself. And so through an artistic learning lens, relationships are built while students or individuals are creating, performing, and or enjoying art together. The arts are both personal and universal at the same time. They touch you personally and connect you with others in that same moment. Think about an experience you had, maybe at a concert or at a theater production or dance, or you were at an art gallery and you were viewing something. And it draws people together for a common cause. Especially in these times, it's being used. The song Lean on Me was just part of the Worldwide Day of Gratitude to unite our country, and our world really, together to show empathy, to show gratefulness towards all of the essential workers that are out there battling for all of us every single day. The arts also expose students to new ideas and give them time to explore those ideas. They provide opportunities to practice relationship skills in an authentic way. The students will understand how this relates in the real world when they are doing it through the arts. And the arts require a healthy ability to work with others, to communicate, to engage, and to work as a team. So what do artists ask themselves in relation to relationship skills? Who influences my choice making? How do others create or compose? How can we use the arts to communicate to others? How can I critique others' art? How can I use others' critiques about my art? What is this artist's perspective? And how can I show my perspective to others? These questions are all going to help build those relationship skills within your students. And so next we have responsible decision making. And this is where students are identifying problems. They're analyzing situations. They're solving problems. They're evaluating, reflecting, and finding that ethical responsibility in their lives and what they're doing. So through an artistic lens, this occurs when we're creating, presenting, performing, responding to, and connecting with the arts. You are constantly making decisions when you are doing anything through the arts. Throughout all art forms, we work on making responsible decisions in a safe environment for ourselves and with others. And students self-regulate and take on the perspective of others to promote responsible decision making when they are learning through any of the arts forms. So artists ask themselves many questions with regards to responsible decision making because they're always making decisions. How can I solve this problem? How can I work with what I have? Because we don't always have what we need, and we, as educators, we've learned that through this time that we're going through right now, teaching from home. How can I use this work to help others? How does this work help me understand more about myself, other people, and the world around me? How can I critique this work? How can I modify this work? Take something someone else has done and tweak it to make it your own, or maybe what you've already done and how can I modify it to make it even better? The creative process is a learning process. Students have an idea, we work through the idea, persevere through mistakes and rough patches, create something in the end, reflect and revise throughout. That is the creative process. Now consider the creative process through the lens of social-emotional learning. We've got students learning on different levels, coming in with different experiences, different abilities, and different motivations. It's not only academic side, integrating art skills with non-arts content, but also those soft skills, how to plan, revise, persevere, work with others, work independently, communicate, and present ideas. So why SEL through the arts? It's not about teachers being proficient in an art form. It's about teachers being comfortable with giving it a try in a classroom. When teachers put themselves out there, they open the door for students to embrace creativity and not be afraid to put themselves out there. It's about the mindset and the methods and an approach to learning. You're taking skills that the students are learning within their arts classes, in their specials, in their electives, and you're translating them and shining them into a new light in a non-arts content area while bringing in those social-emotional learning competencies naturally through these arts projects. And it's really which really is the heart of arts integration. And it's all about the 3 C's: caring, connecting, while you're creating. SEL Through the Arts provides naturally differentiated instruction for all learners. It provides avenues to explore individual needs and growth, and opportunities to work cooperatively and collaboratively with others. It provides methods to express emotion and understand emotion and allow students to process their emotions. It also provides strategies to practice social situations and how to act and react to others. It's going to provide natural connections to empathy. And it's also going to provide a safe and supportive learning environment where students are allowed to explore themselves and the world around them within different contexts and different periods of time. SEL can assist in building a calm, collaborative environment for your students to learn in. And that's going to help also, a byproduct of teaching SEL through the arts is you're going to increase your school's climate and culture, which is another big initiative that schools are focusing on, is what is the climate and culture within our schools, within our district, within our community, and how can we continue to uplift that and include community members. If you're doing performances, you're bringing the community in and you're making connections with those families, which also assists and should be a part of your social and emotional learning initiative within your district. So, what can this look like in the classroom? What are some teaching strategies to connect social emotional learning with the arts? And I'm going to break this down for you within each of the arts content areas. So let's start with music. You could set the mood in the classroom by playing various music styles and songs. I don't know, but when students leave my music classroom and go back to class, I know the teachers need to do something kind of calming, and sometimes I do that at the end of music class because they're all amped up and they're excited, and I want to kind of bring them back to reality and get them calm before they have to walk in the halls and get to their next classroom and be able to go back to math or language arts, which will have a very different feel than in my kindergarten or first grade general music classroom. And so I can use a slower paced, soft music to kind of bring them down and calm them. Music can lead to interesting and insightful discussions around emotions as we focus on social awareness and self-awareness. Have them identify emotional response to music. The difference in emotional responses to music. Two people might have a different response emotionally to the same piece of music. Have them experience multiple emotions. There are songs out there where you could feel sad and tired, or excited and angry all at the same time. So how can we process multiple emotions? And you could start out with fast music and then gradually slow it down to get the students' minds to a place you need them to be at. So visual arts. A great strategy is to put up a piece of visual art and do an I am. So I am blank. I see, I hear, I say, I wonder, I want, I dream, I am. And so through this I am, based on a picture where they fill in the blanks after each prompt, they're going to explore empathy in art with a photographic analysis activity. And you can consider the thoughts and feelings of the artist and themselves, and it's going to allow them to write an empathy art poem from the perspective of the people in the photographed. So movement and dance strategies. You can use movement breaks to relate to math, to science, to any content area. You might just want to use it as a break to kind of give your kids a chance to get up and move and feel. Play music, control the tempo and the volume. Students move off of their shapes. You could have shapes on the floor and through the river without stepping on the shapes, which are rocks. Give instructions for the movement. You could say, hop through the river, crawl through the river. Now, this obviously will work better with the younger kiddos in our schools. If students bump into each other, they could pause, look into each other's eyes, take a breath of 5, and then continue moving. And that can work with any grade level of students. That thought of like that bump into each other, pause, looking each other in the eyes, breath of 5. It's going to help them with self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, and body control, which we know many of our students need assistance with. Some drama strategies or theater strategies you could utilize. Check in to show how they feel or their understanding a concept. You could have them make a face, or you could have them draw an emoji, depending what they want to do. You could have them develop characters that interact with one another in an improvisation to solve a problem. And that problem could exist in any content area. It could be, how do we get someone to the moon? It could be, how do we solve, a political issue going on? Or how do we help someone else? You can help them develop a language of social competence by exploring characters and their motivations, thoughts, emotions, conflicts, the cause and effect of their actions. And that's going to connect ELA with drama and the social emotional side. And this can be done through books. This can be done through watching productions of theater or any other capacity you might find. Maybe they write their own. You can deconstruct communication. Explain how communication is interpreted through vocal expression and inflection, as well as body language and facial expression. And you could tell, write, and or perform stories. Build community, increase knowledge, teach problem-solving skills, improve vocabulary and comprehension, and develop empathy and character, all while telling, writing, or performing these stories. And you can do that with kindergarten through 12th grade, obviously differentiating for whatever capacity your students have in based on their age level. So, I've just given you a lot of information about this. And now on your screen, you will see some resources that I used to put this together and that I think you could go to find more information. The Institute for Arts Integration in STEAM, I've got the website there, is a great place to search on social emotional learning through the arts to find, or just to find ideas for how you could bring the arts into your classroom with ready-made lesson plans or strategies. There's videos on how to teach various art strategies and processes. The Inspired Classroom, teachseal.com by a friend of mine, Elizabeth Peterson, has been talking about social emotional learning through the arts for years and years and years. And she's got tons of resources. She does PD workshops. She has lesson ideas, as well as retreats and conferences and things where you could gain more information. The Plano Independent School District in Texas has really taken the lead on social emotional learning through the arts. So I've included their website for what they've done to really amp it up within their district. Obviously, Castle has tons of information on the social emotional learning competencies, as well as the New Jersey Department of Ed website. And hopefully with the visual and performing arts standards are up for voting in June. And so hopefully they will be passed, and along with them will come the social and emotional connections to those standards through essential questions and enduring understandings. So that can also serve as a great resource once those are posted live. There'll be a website for that. The Cult of Pedagogy has a great article on resilience, because before we can really tackle social emotional learning for our students, we need to make sure our teachers are social and emotionally ready for that, and that they're not only prepared to deliver it, but they're in a good place themselves socially and emotionally. In order to be able to meet the students' needs, you've got to be able to meet your own needs first as the teacher before you can even attempt to try to meet your students' needs. A couple of great books, if you're looking for some summer reading, is Onward, Cultivating Emotional Resilience in Educators, if you want to work on yourself. And that book is actually written to be, you could start at any time, but in the perfect world, you would start it in June and read one chapter per month for a year. And it kind of will align with what's happening within the schools during different months and things. There's a website, as you'll see, to go along with that, as well as a companion workbook, which has 365 exercises organized around that year-long calendar to let you work every single day to make it a part of your routine. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, how do I have time for that? But they're really short, kind of reflective activities that I think are worthwhile and can really make a difference in your life as a teacher and educator. The next one is Primal Leadership, Learning to Lead with Emotional Resilience, and that's by Richard Boyastes and Anna McKee. And I'm sorry I missed the Onward book was by Elena Aguilar, who's a phenomenal author. And then I just finished a book this weekend called Music Education and Social Emotional Learning, The Heart of Teaching Music. And it's definitely geared more towards music teachers. It's by Dr. Scott Edgar. But I think that there are a lot of really good conversations surrounding bullying in our schools, surrounding students feeling comfortable in classrooms. And although it's written through that music education lens, it can absolutely apply to different content areas. I see connections in almost every classroom that makes it worthwhile, or maybe borrow it from someone you know. But this is some resources that I found out there that I think can help you through this journey. I thank you for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed this workshop, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.